Hello world, my name's Ben and welcome to Recap. Last episode we covered an epic battle that lasted 2 gaming sessions where the Storm Dragon was finally defeated. 2 main characters fell during the course of that battle. Cug, the bugbear we all know and love, and Burf, a goblin who's been behind the scenes as a support character since day 1. The party, knowing that Burf and Cug were both had elemental powers, gave them some room so that way they could respawn like they normally do. However, when the little explosions of fire and ooze happened, what rose up wasn't Cug and Burf. Instead, it was a pair of huge elementals, an ooze one where Burf's corpse was, and a fire one where Cug's corpse was. Taken aback by this, the party flew back a little ways, gave some thought to it, and then charged in, splitting their forces to take on both elementals simultaneously. Not that the elementals were giving them much of a choice, because they immediately aggressed when they spawned. The first elemental struck down was Varga's doing, and that resulted in the ooze elemental recoalescing down into Burf's corpse. Mere seconds later, the fire elemental was also struck down, reverting down into Cug's corpse. Gurgen, inspecting the bodies, verified that they were indeed dead. And even weirder, it appeared that all primal effects that had happened, such as eyes made of fire and things like that, had reversed themselves, and Cug now just looked like a normal bugbear. Not really having a lot of time to deal with it right now, the party moved on to the important ritual that they knew they needed to accomplish while the dragon's death was still recent. The question there was, the ritual required, according to their memory, the heart's blood of the dragon, which they had to use as part of the ritual. Since this dragon was actually just a giant construct that was now revealed to just be stitched together bones marked with runes, there really wasn't any blood, never mind heart, to work with. Putting some thought into it, the party figured out that the dragon's bones, the runes that were carved on them, were actually channeling the essence of life that had animated the dragon to begin with. So it was determined that the bones, where the runes were carved in them, was the proper component to use in this ritual. The party powdered those down and used them in the Requiem ritual, which lasted about an hour. Once that was complete, they were able to deal with all of the fallen beyond just the 2 that had risen up as elementals, and to try to figure out what to do with the corpses. There were actually quite a few survivors as well that just kind of fell out of the picture while the party was dealing with those elementals and the Requiem ritual, including most of one of the groups of dwarves, the Azamar Scout, and the Gold Dragon. Together they all decided proper respect would probably be leave the dragon corpses that were there. They were already sinking into the swamp, and that would be appropriate for them to return to nature that way. The fallen dwarves obviously were going to be taken back to Sandbreak and laid to rest there. Fallen party members, well, Varga didn't really have reverence so much. It's not big on her list. So she stuffed the 2 of them in sacks and carried them with her. During the course of getting ready to leave the swamp and actually move over to the beach so that way they could spend a night's rest and in the morning have the appropriate teleports to get everyone out of there. There was some additional looting that had to take place in order to recover items. One of the things that happened though was Burf's corpse. He, as a little guy, doesn't have a lot on him, but he had a bag. So Varga picked up the bag, looked at it, discovered, hey, that's some sort of maybe bag of holding because it doesn't have obvious stuff in it, and said, alright, I'll deal with that later. So she took it and put it in her bag of holding, which is really bad. As most of you may know, bag of holding in a bag of holding is an extra dimensional space inside an extra dimensional space, which kind of warps reality and causes a small explosion. So what happened was this popping noise and Varga's bag stopped working. It became a normal bag. Everything that was in it, including Burf's bag that she just put in it, was lost. The only thing that Varga really had in her bag was her armor, because she's currently wearing the artifact armor that she was obviously going to have to return to the dwarves. But she had her original armor in her bag. That was now gone, and the last thing we want is Varga running around without clothes on. That would be bad. And the party had no idea what they lost inside Burf's bag, even though I had written up a full list of items that he had. Oh well. So after a night on the beach, the party teleported back to Sandbreak, where a celebration was being had. Gergen led the discussion with the Thane to broach the subject how the artifact scepter that they had borrowed kind of, well, blew up. The dwarves actually took it really well. The Thane kind of huffed a bit and played that it was all concerned, but he's like, yeah, whatever. It's just an item. Let's go have a drink. You know how dwarfs do. So that celebration of the victory over the dragon and remembering the fallen from that battle, that celebration went on well through the night and the morning and into the next day before they ran out of beer. And that's really the killer to a dwarven party, is when you run out of alcohol. So the mood is killed, and next thing you know, everyone's heading home. For the party, what this meant was they had just accomplished their big goal, and they didn't have any other divine insight into what they needed to do next, if anything. In fact, nothing really had come out immensely from this dragon fight, and it was a bit of a letdown to them. They didn't really understand how could this be the end of things, but it appears it is. So the only one that had any real goal in mind of what he wanted to do was Gergen. Gergen had been taken away from his family, became a slave, and went through all of these horrible times, and then progressed as an elemental and worshipping Balm, all under the hopes that one day he would be able to return home, resume his life with his family, and maintain the shrine to Balm that was there. Not really having anything special to do, the rest of the party just kind of glommed on and said, let's all go north to Gergen's house and figure out what we want to do along the way. When we get there, maybe we can earn money, maybe we can do some more adventuring, we'll figure it out. We're not quite ready to retire, and let's just do that. Why not? The party teleported north to get closer to Gergen's homeland and found themselves in a fertile forest. There, they decided it was an appropriate place to get rid of the two bodies that they were still carrying, burying Burf and burning Cug on a funeral pyre. So they took some time and did this, and Gergen created and laid out a headstone for Cug, and then the party continued meandering north, heading to Gergen's home, not really being in a rush, but wanting to get there on Gergen's behalf. When they got to the mountain where Gergen's family built their home, they discovered a travesty. See, most of the party remembered that in their initial vision, when they started to gain elemental powers, part of that vision was that their homelands had been destroyed. Apparently Gergen had repressed that memory, because now, facing it, he discovered the mountain had erupted, a volcanic incident destroying the area. Jaw dropped, he just kind of sat there, not really sure what to do, and the whole party was just stalled. And that's where we ended the game. Thanks for watching, I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Party power.